Section 1. Welcome to Module 5, Processing Crime and Incident Scenes. Hello, and welcome back to our course on computer forensics. Today, we are diving into Module 5, which is titled Processing Crime and Incident Scenes. This is an absolutely critical component of your training as a digital forensic investigator. The skills we will cover in this module form the very foundation of any successful investigation involving digital devices. Everything that comes later, the analysis, the reporting, the expert testimony, depends entirely on how well the evidence is handled at the very beginning. A mistake made at the scene can be irreversible, potentially compromising an entire case before the real analytical work has even begun. This is where precision procedure and professionalism are paramount. Over the next 50 minutes, we will embark on a comprehensive journey exploring the methodologies and legal frameworks that govern the collection of digital evidence. Let's begin our first act by establishing a clear and comprehensive definition. What exactly is digital evidence? In its broadest sense, digital evidence is any information of probative value that is either stored or transmitted in a digital form. This definition is intentionally wide-ranging because sources are constantly expanding. It encompasses files on a computer's hard drive, documents, emails, images. It also includes data from our digital interactions, text messages on a smartphone, GPS location, data from a vehicle. The single most important rule governing the actions of police and other government agents is the Fourth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution. This amendment protects the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures. This protection is at the core of the privacy rights of all citizens in the United States, and courts have affirmed that papers and effects absolutely includes digital information stored on computers and other electronic devices. A law enforcement officer cannot simply decide to search someone's laptop because they feel like it. The Fourth Amendment does not forbid all searches, only those that are unreasonable. Introducing SWGDE, the Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence. In the field of digital forensics, we do not simply invent our procedures as we go. Our methodologies are built upon a framework of standards and best practices. Those standards are developed by experts to ensure consistency, reliability, and scientific validity. We now move into the second act of our lecture, where we will draw a critical distinction between conducting investigations in the private sector versus those handled by law enforcement. While both scenarios involve the methodical collection and analysis of digital evidence, they operate in fundamentally different legal and procedural worlds. A corporate investigator responding to a policy violation and a police detective securing a digital crime scene have different objectives, different levels of authority, and different sets of rules. The primary driver of this difference is the source of the investigator's authority. In the private sector, an investigator's authority typically derives from corporate policy and the employment relationship. In stark contrast, a law enforcement investigator's authority comes directly from the law, the Constitution, and statutory authority. The investigation is an internal matter aimed at protecting the company's interests, enforcing its policies, and mitigating risk versus investigating violations of criminal statutes and gathering evidence for prosecution. Let's first delve into the private sector incident scene. When you are called to investigate a matter within a corporation, your actions are framed by policy and consent. Unlike law enforcement, a private company does not have inherent legal authority to search an employee's computer. Instead, that right must be established beforehand, typically through well-defined company policies employees agree to. These policies are the bedrock of a corporate investigator's authority. They set the rules of the road, for how company resources may be used by employees. A robust and effective acceptable use policy, or AUP, is a company's most important tool in this regard. While a comprehensive acceptable use policy signed by an employee is the strongest form of consent, companies often reinforce this with a warning banner. Once the on-scene portion of the operation is complete and all evidence has been securely transported, the focus of the investigation shifts to the forensic laboratory. The lab provides a controlled, secure, and properly equipped environment where the detailed examination of the seized evidence can take place. Upon arrival at the lab, the evidence custodian formally transfers custody of all seized items to the lab's evidence manager. The evidence is logged into the lab's evidence management system, and each item is assigned a secure storage location. The very first step in processing a piece of digital media in the lab is to create a forensic image. As we have discussed, a forensic image is a bit-for-bit, sector-by-sector copy of the original source media. The imaging process must be conducted using a forensic write blocker. Immediately after the image is created, we must verify its integrity through a process called hashing. The primary tool for this is the investigator's journal, or case notes. This journal is a contemporaneous record of everything you do, see, and decide from the moment you are assigned the case. Your journal should be a detailed, chronological narrative of the investigation. When you arrive at the scene, you log the time, the address, and who is present. Alongside your written journal, visual documentation is an indispensable part of processing the scene. Follow a logical progression, general to specific. Start with overall shots from different angles to establish context. In addition to photographs, a hand-drawn or computer-assisted sketch is vital. The sketch should show room dimensions, precise locations measured from at least 2 fixed points like corners. Within the on-scene team, one of the most critical assigned roles is that of the evidence custodian, sometimes called the evidence recorder. This individual is solely responsible for a single monumental task, creating and maintaining the chain of custody log for every item seized at the scene. The chain of custody is the chronological paper trail documenting possession from collection to court. An unbroken, well-documented chain is required for admissibility. The custodian assigns a unique evidence item number and fills out an evidence tag with this number. Every single person who takes possession of that evidence item must sign and date the form. This creates an unbroken hand-to-hand accountability log. This form is the primary document used in court to establish the chain of custody. While our standard lab procedure involves working on an image of a powered-off device, we must revisit the special situation of encountering a computer that is still running at the scene. As we touched on earlier, a live system presents both a great opportunity and a significant risk. To deal with this, investigators can use specialized tools designed for live system analysis and handling. One such tool is a mouse jiggler. This is a small USB device that, when plugged into a computer, generates constant, tiny mouse movements. Our discussion so far has focused primarily on hard drives and solid-state drives, but digital evidence can be found on a wide variety of media types. This includes optical media like CDs, DVDs, and Blu-ray discs, as well as older formats like magnetic tapes, which are still used for archival backups in many large organizations. For extremely long-term archival, some organizations are turning to newer technologies like M-disks, which manufacturers claim can preserve data for up to 1,000 years. As we conclude our journey through the processing of a crime or incident scene, we must circle back to the single most important piece of paperwork in the entire process: the evidence custody form, also known as the chain of custody form. The form details the item's unique evidence number, a full description, the case number, and the date and time it was collected. Most importantly, it contains a series of signature lines where every single person who takes possession must sign and date the form. This form is the primary document used in court to establish the chain of custody. When an attorney seeks to introduce a piece of evidence, they will often call the investigator who collected it to the stand. The investigator will be shown the evidence and the accompanying form and asked to verify their signature. This step-by-step testimony, guided by the custody form, proves to the judge and jury that the evidence has not been tampered with. As we bring this extensive lecture on processing crime and incident scenes to a close, it is essential to distill the vast amount of information we have covered into a set of core principles. We have journeyed through a comprehensive process from the initial identification of digital evidence to its final documentation and storage. The first and most fundamental takeaway is that digital evidence, in the eyes of the law, is treated with the same gravity as physical evidence. This means it is both powerful in its probative value and fragile in its nature, demanding a level of care and procedural rigor that is second to none. Organizations like the Scientific Working Group on Digital Evidence, SWGDE, are not just peripheral bodies, they are central to the professionalization of our discipline. This responsibility requires a commitment to lifelong learning, a dedication to procedural perfection, and a strong ethical compass. You're now equipped with the essential knowledge to identify, seize, document, and handle digital evidence in a forensically sound manner. However, your journey as a digital forensic investigator is just beginning. As a next step, I strongly encourage you to seek out practical hands-on experience wherever possible. Use open-source forensic tools like Autopsy to explore the images you create. Follow digital forensics blogs, join professional organizations like HTCIA, and read standards published by SWGDE directly. Thank you for your attention and dedication today. You have taken a significant step forward in your development as a digital forensic professional. I look forward to seeing you in our next lecture in our